Hey guys, Nancy here. Hope everyone's doing well. Thanks for joining me while we look into some more reserve list cards and see which ones are decent and which ones should be in the trash. Right now, of course, as it always has been in the last month, all of these are worth more than what they were even a couple of weeks ago. So hard to keep track of what's actually happening and how well the price affects what the card's quality is. But let's get to it. So the first card is Niel Sylvain from the dark. Now that is a face. Oh yeah, now that is a face. I have nothing else to say about it. Three forests. Summon Niel. Pay four forest. Tap. Target creature is regenerated. Now it's a 2/2 for three forests. It's a oof, apparently. But I feel like every single thing about this card, other than its art, is mediocre to just bad. The art is meme worthy. The card itself, what it does, is just not worth it in any deck that I can see right now. Mainly because even if you want to regenerate a creature, there's cheaper ways to do it. There are cards that are way more efficient than this. And if you think about it, if you're going to put a creature that's this heavily dependent on forests as your lands, you're going to have to go pretty much all in on a green deck. And it can pretty much only be a mono green deck. You're going to be pushing it for anything else. So as a meme, pretty good. As what it is right now, when it peaked to $25, not so much. $9.61 on TCG, $13.99 on Card Kingdom, which is actually kind of surprising. It's usually the other way around. But I don't know if that actually is, and I can't really, I don't want to check right now because I feel like that'll just take it out. So we just move on to the next one. Purgatory from Mirage, two colorless, one black, one white enchantment. Whenever you summon a card, whenever a summon card is put into your graveyard from play, put that card face up under Purgatory. During upkeep, you may pay 4 and 2 life to put any card under Purgatory into play as though it was just played. Purgatory leaves play. Remove all cards under it from the game. This is that is very unique and also feels really good. I kind of regret not looking into what. I'm so annoyed at the fact that I started looking into reserve list cards the week or a couple of days after they started moving up at the pace that they are right now. It really is annoying that it happened like that, but at the same time, I feel like a lot of the interest kind of happened at the same time I started looking into the reserve list and going, what cards are actually in here? A card like this is unique. The color combination is good. Its art will never probably be reprinted again. There's a lot of things going for this card, even at $7.59, and I will actually check this, even though I said I wasn't going to do it. I feel like this is a good card. I feel like it's unique and a good card. Yeah, I'm not too sure what to say about it. I understand that it's probably not, there might be more that comes into the marketplace at this point, but it does feel like a decent card. So, moving on. Winter's Night. And I feel like at this point in the review cycle, I'm probably about a third or maybe halfway through the reserve list. I'm probably going to get to cards where I can't just be like, yeah, these are all trash. So, Winter's Night from Alliance. One white, one red, and one green. Enchant World. Whenever a snow-covered land is tapped for mana, it produces one additional mana if of the same type, and it does not untap during its controller's next untap phase. This started moving up probably when Kaldheim was announced, when people started specking on the fact that there were snow-covered lands. I still don't think it's a good card in that kind of a deck. And that could explain probably why the prices are now starting to go down from $10 to $9.34. You can get it from TCG for $4.52. I don't know if I 100% trust that. But it's not very playable of a card yet. There's 40 of them, $4.52. 20 of them for $6. Yeah, okay, there's plenty of supply for a card like this. Moving on. Carrion Druid from Vision. Two colorless, one green for a Druid. Pay one green, tap. Target land becomes a 2/2 green creature permanently. That land still counts as a land. I kind of like cards that make your land into something more than land because I have a land commander deck and it does use lands as a sacrifice outlet as well, because it can cycle through them, like Gitrog Frog and other cards. So I don't mind cards like this, and this is kind of a unique one where it can turn other people's lands into permanents. You can threaten people with it. If someone's going to board wipe, you can take one of their lands with it, and you can always keep this up in as a counter. Once this is in play and it has either haste or it lasts one entire turn so that it can be tapped, it's pretty much a political card, and I like it for that. A lot of the new ones say that you can only target your land, so it's like, target your land becomes a 2/2, one of your lands. But this is a bit more of a threat. As for the card value itself, $4.35 as it is right now, dropping down pretty fast. We'll have to see where this goes, but I feel like a lot of these cards are actually better in value than they were about a month ago. Just because I'm getting to some of the decent ones and they haven't moved up as much as some of the lamer ones. Wormwood Tree Folk from the Dark. 3 colorless, 2 green for a summon Tree Folk. Pay 2 green, Wormwood Tree Folk gains Forest Walk until end of turn, and it does 2 damage to you. Pay 2 black, Wormwood Tree Folk gains Swamp Walk until end of turn, and does 2 damage to you. It's not a very interesting card. That's the only thing I have against it. Other than that, it's fine. It can get in for some damage. You're playing a green-black deck, you can maybe just annoy people with this card. The art looks kind of cool, but for $10, it just feels a bit much. Kazoo from Revised Edition. 1 colorless, 2 green for enchant land. Enchant land. Whenever target lands becomes taps, it is destroyed unless that was the last land in play. Kazoo is not discarded. Instead, the player whose land it just destroyed may place it on another land in play. Oh, what an annoying card. Yeah, I would probably not put this in a deck because I am not a fan of land destruction commander. I feel like commander games go slow enough anyways. The last thing I want to do is spend any more time putting out stuff. I'd rather let big things happen for the sake of how much time I want to. Like, I've just put all my commanders decks together. I have 12 to 16 commander decks. If I want to have time to play all of them and try them out before I change them next time, which I've never done, I've always changed all of them, even the one that I just played with pretty much all the time, which means if I slow down the game any more than it already is, it's just not going to be fun. So a card like this might be worth as a collector piece. It just doesn't feel like it's going to be good in a commander deck unless you're specifically playing it for a reason. Carrion from Mirage, 1 colorless, 2 black, instant. Sacrifice a creature, put into play a number of maggot tokens equal to the sacrificed creature's power. Treat these tokens as a 0/1 black creature. This is good. This was really good just a couple of months ago. This was amazing in 2018. Yeah, this is a very, very, very good card that is very inflated for price right now. Actually, at $8, it's not probably too bad. But yeah, I don't see anything wrong with a card like this. This is going to be useful in a lot of decks. A lot of decks have value that they can create from tokens, and this is pretty much it's not really board wipe protection, but it's a removal protection, and it can also it's a good card. Diamond Kaleidoscope from Visions, 4 colorless artifact. Pay 3 tap, put a prism counter token into play. Treat this as a 0/1 artifact creature. Sacrifice prism token, add 1 mana of any color to your mana pool, play this ability as a mana source. This feels pretty good to me as well, sadly. It would have felt a lot better if it was $1 instead of $10. Actually, at $5.89, it's not bad. You'd want to play this in a very specific deck. $4.37. That's not bad, actually. Are these starting to come down in price or something? It's hard to tell. This is a good card, mainly because it creates an artifact token. I'm looking at things like Breya And I'm looking at things which allow you to double tokens when they come into play. It does cost 7 to get the first one going, but I think if you have a use for those artifacts, and you can double them up with like Panhammer, not Panhammer, if you can double up the tokens with the doubling effects, these are always good. And I do like tokens that can be sacrificed and accumulated with extra mana that you have over maybe 3 or 4 turns. So mana sinks are always good in commanded games because at some point you will probably have more mana than you have things to do with. So maybe in that case you should probably prioritize card draw spells instead of ramp or mana. Gust the Scepter from Alliance. 0 mana artifact. I'm going to move this. Tap. Exile a card from your hand face down. You may look at it as long as it remains exiled. Tap. Return a card you own exiled with Gust the Scepter to your hand. When you lose control of the Spectre, put all cards exiled with the Spectre into their owner's graveyard. What is a use of a card like this? Now that they have the exile mechanics, there are ways to interact with exiled cards now. So exile a card from your hand face down. You may look at it as long as you want. Return a card from your own exile. The only reason I can think of think about a way to use this is if you care about the amount of cards in your hand a lot, and it allows you to have a backup hand, but you had to be careful about what happens to an artifact like this. In that case, it's not too bad, but it is annoying that you can only return one card at a time, while you can exile like multiple cards. So in my mind, it still feels like it's not worth it, even like a Madness deck or a deck where you want no cards in hand so you can get some benefits, like from the Dragon that gives you an extra card draw if you have no cards in hand, from the Vampire that gives you an extra card draw if you have no cards in hand. It's just, normally you don't want that because, yeah, it's just not very useful. Ask 2, Sheltered Valley from Alliance. So, it is a land. If Sheltered Valley would enter the battlefield, instead sacrifice each other permanent named Sheltered Valley you control, and then put the valley onto the battlefield. At the beginning of your upkeep, if you control 3 or fewer lands, you gain 1 life. Tap to add 1 colorless mana. This is terrible. Why would I want a benefit of having 3 or fewer lands for 1 life? And in the end, all it does is tap for colors. Unless you're playing a deck that literally only cares about having 3 lands, and if that's the case, then you should probably add more card draw. This just doesn't make sense, but it is worth $12.99, so what do I know? Dystopia from Alliance. 1 colorless, 2 black for an enchantment. Cumulative upkeep, pay 1 life. Okay, at the beginning of your upkeep, put an age counter on this permanent, then sacrifice it unless you pay its upkeep cost for each age counter on it. It gets more and more painful. At the beginning of each player's upkeep, that player sacrifices a green or white permanent. It is not too bad, but I still feel like there's better cards than this. The art looks a bit unique, but still kind of... The moon looks cool. I don't know. I just don't find a very good value for a card like this, but I'm not too sure if that's only because there's better ways to do that nowadays, or if it's just too specific and makes it feel bad for the people that are just playing green and white. And a lot of people that are playing green probably should feel some kind of pain, so maybe cards like this are good. But it just feels bad in the overall, because if someone's playing a blue deck, you're not really affecting what they're doing. You're just ruining one guy's game, or maybe 2, and leaving a blue deck to just be like, yeah, you guys can fight it out, and then I'll just watch. This pretty much puts a target on your head from one person, or everyone on the table. It's just not good in a commander deck. There's not enough politics to get around a card like this. Anyways, guys, thanks for watching. I'm going to leave it at that, and hopefully you guys enjoy it. Please like and subscribe, and